Hello and welcome to another episode of The Elegant Life. My name is Erin Kurt. I am a spiritual teacher and life coach who assists women in living and manifesting exquisite lives for themselves. So we are carrying on this month's topic with all about self-love. Now, last week we started with describing, noticing, remembering, rediscovering some of the things that are so unique about ourselves and even just what we like. You know, particularly those of us who are mothers can go through a period of time where we really lose ourselves because we're so focused on giving, and we forget, what do we like? What's our style? What do we love doing that makes us happy? Do we even allow ourselves to do that anymore? And so last week's video was all about the discovery of that. In fact, I even provided a gorgeous PDF that was absolutely free, which you can find on last week's blog. So all of that I'll link below. And I really suggest you watch it because, in my opinion, in order to get today's topic, which is all about how to increase your self-confidence, you need to start with that step. If you don't start with that step, it's like a whole first piece of the puzzle is absolutely missing. So go back and do that if you haven't. So today, as I mentioned, we are going to be focusing completely on how to build your self-confidence. Now, one of the things that I'm really going to recommend as a number one is to realize that anything you do, you need to have experience in it to be able to feel confident. Now, hear me out on this. Oftentimes, when we do something, for example, we're going to start a new job, we're going to start a business, we're going to start a blog, we're going to do anything, whether it be to learn how to play the piano, learn how to speak another language, we can tend to feel like we should be really good at the beginning. And if we're not, we criticize ourselves. Let me tell you a few things that might reframe this for you. The number one thing, if you look at a musician, anybody that wants to be a professional musician must have at least 12 to 15,000 hours of playing experience. That's a lot of hours. They are not a professional player on day one, even in week one. And along the process, they get better and better and better. And that's what I want you to understand and get comfortable with. Anything that you start, you are not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel awkward, and you're probably at some point in time going to feel not good enough. We need experience and practice to be able to be really good at something. I always think back to my experience as a school teacher. I had all the natural traits, you know, the source completely downloaded into me the ability to take the total complex and make it simple. That is such a skill I have that has served me with everything that I've done and with my entire life. So that's why I'm a successful coach and teacher and things like this, because I know how to do that. I feel very comfortable speaking in front of groups. I have tremendous amount of compassion and patience and empathy, all just naturally me. So that I just expected to go into the classroom and be perfect. Now, when I went into the classroom, because I was a perfectionist type A personality, I would look at the teaching manuals and they would have, say this, ask this, draw this, ask this, call someone up to do this, ask this. It was just a step-by-step thing. And I used to sit there with the manual and do it exactly like that. And I was just talking to the kids and looking at my manual. And it was just like that because I was trying to do it perfectly. And when I was being observed by a university facilitator, she came to me and she said, Erin, you got to put the book down. Like, you have to be conscious of what your objective is and then guide yourself that way, using the children's answers as your guide. And then, there's a certain way to format a certain lesson, and just make sure you've got those areas. So I tried it, but it was like scary as anything. And it took me a lot of practice to be able to just not want to have that book telling me exactly what I should do, because I wanted to do it perfectly. I wanted to have them think I was perfect. And, I look to where I got at the end of my 17 years. I mean, I taught all over the world at top international schools and private schools. And the thing that was just amazing to me at the end is that you could put me into any situation and I could just wing a lesson and have it be wonderful. I knew what a lesson needed to have. I knew how to flow with it. The only reason I knew that is because I did it over and over and over. So get comfortable with failing. Get comfortable with making a mistake, and just say this mantra to yourself. I find this really helpful. The only reason I feel uncomfortable right now, or unworthy, or not confident, is because it's the first time I'm doing this, or the second time doing this, or the third time doing this. Each time I do it, I will get better and better and better. I will be an expert one day. So repeat that mantra to yourself, and that is going to give you the confidence to just keep going. Amazing actors and actresses are not like that right out of the bat. Yes, they have talents. Yes, they have natural abilities. I do give you that. But the way that they hone their skill is by doing it over and over, okay? I think I've made that point. But I find that's one of the most important things. And I've had to learn this over and over with every new thing that I have done and continue to do. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is to consciously do something to make your state one of confidence. Now, anybody that is part of the Elegant Society knows that I talk to you about creating your own state. Did you know that the results you get are based on the behaviors that you do or don't do? And the behaviors that you do or don't do are affected by whatever your state is. Your state makes you do things or not do things. If you're feeling depressed, are you really going to go out there and give a great presentation or something like that? If you're angry, are you going to be patient and then have a loving relationship with your children? No. So the state is something so important. Now, what I do in the coaching is something that, what creates my state? All that conditioning. But we're going to move that to the side right now. You consciously can choose whatever state you want to live in. And if you're in one that is of a low vibration, you can do something right away to bring it up. So the way this whole thing works is that your thoughts have a frequency, okay? And it creates the way your physiology reacts. So if you have a happy thought, do you notice that you normally have a lot of energy and that you're normally smiling, or that you're normally just, you normally just have a lot more energy, don't you? If you're in a happy state. If you're in a depressed state, you normally feel tired. So that's what I mean by your thoughts create your state and therefore your emotions, right? So here's the thing. If you're feeling a lack of confidence, there are certain things you can do to put yourself in a state. First of all, a thought. A thought different from what's playing in your mind now can change your state immediately. I'll never forget my daughter when she was trying to get up this big, scary climbing thing, and I heard her just go, big, strong me. Or she said her name, big, strong Kaya. So she said, big, strong Kaya. And then she just went up, okay? She was doing this naturally, psyching herself up. Those kind of words can really create your state because they affect something within you called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus sends chemicals out of different emotions. So just by saying the thought, it will affect the hypothalamus, which will send out a different reaction, okay? And of confidence, right? Because when you're thinking the thoughts, you're also having a visual image in your mind. So it's kind of a double duty. The other thing you can do is use your physiology to create a real physical state of confidence. Here's what I mean. So what you can do is actually change your position, your physical posture. If you're going into an interview, if you're going to call up a client, if you are going to meet your partner for the first time in a long time, if you're going on a first date, if you're making a sales call, whatever you want to do, you want to change your physiology so that it sends the hypothalamus different messages, right? So if you are feeling unconfident and you go and you do this, let's say in the bathroom beforehand, you go, or however a confident stance looks to you. Think of, maybe it would help you to think of a female that you really admire. How do you think she would be standing? Would she be standing elegantly like this? How would she be standing? What would a confident you be looking like? So you can do this. Yes. Or you can even do a sound, because this is, I know Tony Robbins teaches this a lot. You can even do your power move. You know, it's like, yes, something like this. Come up with your own power move. This automatically, I'm feeling like pumped right now. This totally and ultimately works, okay? It sends a different message. You're even having this different visualization in your head right now, right? The two of them combined go to the hypothalamus. It sends out confidence. And now, lickety-split, you are feeling confident. Another way you can do this with words is to use a very, very precious little tiny 3-letter word. It is but. Let me show you how you can change your thought and therefore your state just by using but. Okay, so you say to yourself, I don't feel confident. I don't feel good enough. So let's give a scenario. You're nervous about calling a client, a potential client. And you say to yourself, you're thinking to yourself, I don't feel confident. I don't feel confident. Oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And the way you do this is you don't try to resist you feeling unconfident, because sometimes you don't have in that moment time to process it or to work with a coach like me to get rid of that, okay? But in that moment, you can simply say this: I don't feel confident to call this new client, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't feel confident to tell my partner what I really, really need from him or her, but I'm going to find a way to do it. You want to ask for a raise, and you say, I feel nervous. I feel really nervous to ask for the raise because I don't know if they'll think I'm worthy enough of it. But I'm going to step up to the plate and I'm going to do it anyway. Now, here's something I want you to really know. I have had the opportunity to work with clients who are multimillionaires. They run very successful businesses. And let me tell you something. Every single one of them was not full of confidence. Hear me when I say that. They were doing successful businesses, yet at the same time, they were not feeling 100% confident. They came to me to work out some of their confidence issues and to clear old baggage. So it is possible to feel fear, to feel unworthy, to feel not so confident in every single area. Of course, in certain aspects of their business, they could walk into a meeting and they could, if they know their stuff, right? They're very confident in the knowledge they have, in the product that they're selling, these kind of things. But when they have to maybe ask for a sale, if they have to stand up for their rights when they're negotiating contracts with other people, they have to really stand up and say, no, I'm worth this. There's so much that I have seen and witnessed that I need to pass on to you and for you to take on. You don't have to totally, fully get rid of your fear, your lack of confidence, your unworthiness feeling before you can take a step, before you can try getting some experience, before you can pick that fear up and just walk through it and say, I feel this way, but I know what I'm talking about. I know this stuff. I know that I can help that person. I know that my energy will be good for that person. I know I am truly deep down worthy of this. I know my soul completely and utterly desires this. That 3 little word is your ticket from having to dive in and do deep work before you start taking action, and can put you in a state like that of confidence. So keeping in line with the topic of state, did you know that your personal style, the clothes you wear, can instantly change your state and make you feel confident? I'm sure in your lifetime there have been times when you have worn something and you have just felt like the cat's meow. You know, we all have had those moments, right? And what happens is a lot of times in the morning, women go to the closet and they say, okay, what's gonna fit, or what's the most comfortable thing, and that's their decision making. What I want to empower you to do is to ask this question: what would the most confident me wear? That's the question you want to ask yourself. Clothes can just change your state instantly. And I have personal experience of this. When I was late teens, early 20s, I was sort of really going to my next evolution, becoming a woman, kind of. And I was admiring all these women around me who had what I didn't have. They had self-knowledge. Particularly, I was looking at style at that time. I would see all these women, young women, older women, who just had a style. And even though they wore clothes that maybe I personally wouldn't wear myself, I so admired the fact that they knew who they were and they were walking around in just complete self-knowingness and owning the clothes that they were wearing. And that gives confidence, it oozes confidence, and I'm sure they felt confident. So this is a topic on The Elegant Life I really want to go into deeper at another time, but for now, ask yourself that question. Ask it. What would the most confident me wear? One of the things that really shifted for me, because I went on a journey of trying to find my style, when I moved to France, I really found it. I found it because I felt things that resonated with me. When I moved there, I had to shrink my closet down to about that because space was an issue. And I loved it. I loved having just a few items in my closet that I would wear over and over and over again, like the French. And I felt good every time I wore them. You know, I would mix it up and match it up. And I realized that they might wear the same things again, but they changed it. They made it unique every single day. And that's what I started to do and loved. I also noticed that there was a simplicity, that they wore certain colors that just resonated with me. Black, white, tan, you know, beige, things like this with accents of color and spark and uniqueness. I fell in love with it. And by the end of my time in France, my gosh, I had a style. And when I came back to Canada, I can't tell you how many people, when I would wear things, would say, where did you get that skirt? Where did you get that? You just have such a flair with things. If anybody was said that to me before, I would have said, yeah, that'll never happen. So what I recommend you doing is something that I did when I was in France. Of course, I was observing and making mental notes, but I also was Googling Parisian fashion, French fashion. I was looking at Parisian models or songs or some singers, actresses, seeing on the road what they were wearing. I was looking at the fashion magazines and really tearing out pictures and creating a file of styles that I liked, and then I would go look for them, and when I would put them on, I was on point. And I have to tell you that when I go shopping, I know what my style is. It is just Parisian chic. That's what it is. And it gives me a confidence to just go out there and be the authentic me. So this was my third and very, very, very important step to gaining confidence the elegant way. There's so much more I could say on this, but you know me, I like taking the complex and bringing it down to the essence of really feeling life change. And if you do these three things, I guarantee you will feel confidence that you've not felt maybe in a very long time. You just have to put into practice what I'm teaching you, okay? So next week, we're going to continue on self-love, self-confidence, self-esteem theme. And I just want you to, this week until next week, put into practice some of these things from this week's video and last week's video. And until then, make it an elegant week.